is Valentina Chesky and I am a theatre practitioner working across theatre and performance.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a visual artist working in performance and theatre, specialising in scenography.
Kate and I collaborate as part of Brave New Worlds, a performance collective based in the UK and Lithuania. Our work sits at the intersection between theatre, performance, live art, dance. It's very visual, it's costume-led. It provokes a visceral, emotional response in its audience. So when we create work, we usually start with a visual brainstorm around a theme or a concept. Our second show, Trinity, was inspired, for example, by the idea of the female sacred in our shared Western and Eastern European cultural backgrounds.
The piece was specifically looking at how female form had becomes an icon, and we looked at Saint Mary in particular, and how the image or the representation of her has been reused and reproduced from Renaissance paintings to contemporary pop references, and how it still speaks something to a contemporary audience.
This show was eventually performed and partly inspired by this particular space in South London, which is a deconsecrated church. And it kind of got us thinking about creating work that was more site-specific and site-responsive. We're usually, we started off sort of creating work that we thought fitted really well in a black box where the audience can suspend their disbelief and we can literally take them into another world and play with illusion and create these incredible transformations through these costumes. But actually, we noticed in the transition into a more site-specific space that there was more of a play with the uncanny.
And that for us was a really sort of exciting revelation, to be like, well, why are we making work which is solely exists in galleries and black box theatre spaces? What happens when we take it out into unexpected spaces, into the unknown?
We've just embarked on a bit of a research and development period where we are looking at making this transition into an outdoor and public setting.
I mean, to be honest, we were very worried about, without the illusions and the established magic that theatre has, what happens when you see our costumes in their sort of rawest, purest form. But actually, I think we were really sort of pleasantly surprised how actually their presence, their just sort of existence in this sort of space, and understanding how a landscape can have its own scenography and feed into and have this sort of interplay, an unexpected but also grateful sort of interplay with it. It also lended itself to our visual dramaturgical approach. You know, the landscape dictated some sort of visual narrative.
So we've just made a piece as part of this research and development in response to a place called Greenham Common.
Greenham Common is a piece of common land, but it's always had a contested history between having a military presence and having a land for the people.
During the Cold War, the Greenham Common RAF base was being used by the American military forces, and in 1981 a group of women from Wales marched down to Greenham in protest against the 96 nuclear missiles that the Americans had stationed at the base. These women set up camp there and were soon joined by thousands of other women from all over the UK.
And there was a permanent peace camp there for 20 years. One of the biggest sort of presence there was something called Embrace the Base in 1982, when 30,000 women descended around this base and joined hands and entirely circled this base.
So when we went to Greenham Common, we were hugely inspired, not only by the beautiful nature that is now present, because obviously the military base has been disbanded, and it has, as Kate said, become this common land again, this common park for people to enjoy. But we were really struck by the history and the power of this presence of these women.